If you're a business owner and you set up a speed to lead automation workflow, it's something that you can create once, but that can allow you to connect with your customers for life. What is up, guys? Hope everybody is having a great day. And today I wanted to talk about the speed to lead framework for any business. And I think that one thing that's not talked about a lot when it comes to business is the ability to be in constant communication with the people who have already shown that they're interested in your product. I think that we talk about constant communication utilizing content, or we talk about following up, but we don't really mix the two together. And so today I wanted to talk about why it's important, how it can help, and then I wanted to break down tactically how we do that. And so one thing that I learned early on in my business is that data is key, right? Because at the end of the day, the data is going to be able to tell you a lot of things that you don't necessarily have to think about. So if, for example, you think that this is your ideal target person for your product or service, but the data shows you differently, well, now you can lean into that, and that can affect the way you market, the way that you create content, and the way that you do so many other things. And so I think a lot of people have data in their business, but a lot of people don't utilize data. And I see it a lot, especially in like the smaller companies, it's particularly like the service-based companies. What they do is whenever they work with somebody, they get their email and they get their phone number, and then they just have it on a list that lives in an Excel spreadsheet somewhere, and they don't do any constant communication. They don't do any follow-up. They have a form on their website, but what happens over time is like they never reach out to the people right away. And so those people usually get contacted by somebody in their industry. And because that person's constantly communicating with them, it causes them to lose that opportunity. And so what I've learned is that constant communication is what puts you on top of mind on your ideal clients. I think that a lot of people always wonder why people send a lot of emails. A lot of people wonder why people create so much content. And the reason you do that is because you want people to go from who are you and what do you do to I know what you do and I want you to help me. And I think that constant communication with your ideal person is so important because in a world where there's lots of people who do whatever product or service you provide do, you have to be able to separate yourself. And when it comes to content, there's really only so many things you can do to make yourself look different. And so if you're in constant communication with somebody and your competition is not, that's going to help you really be able to contact those clients down the line. So an example of this is an email newsletter, right? Like I have clients who send out newsletters every other week. They send them out once a month. And the reason that they do that is because they want to stay top of mind to the people who can eventually become part of a project they're doing, who can eventually use their products or services. And the only way that those people can constantly think about you is if you constantly communicate with them. And so another example of this is Facebook ads, right? A great thing that anybody can do who owns a company and has a website is you can add a Facebook pixel to your website, and that takes about 5 minutes to do. But this allows you to, in the future, if you spend money on Facebook ads, you can literally retarget people who have visited your site. That way, again, you stay top of mind. Same thing with text messages. It's like if somebody opts in on a form on your website, and then all of a sudden you're constantly texting them about promos, about testimonials, about things going on in your business, you're staying top of mind, and it's very cost effective to do that. But the great thing about that is once you set up those frameworks one time, they last you in perpetuity, and you only have to build them once. And I think that a lot of times people make the assumption that somebody is going to see who you are and they're immediately going to become a customer. But what I've learned is that the bigger products that you sell, the more expensive products you sell, the more people have to know about you and have to see your face in order to trust you. I know me personally in my business, from the first time I meet with somebody, it could be anywhere from 3 upwards to 12 months before we actually start to work together. And if I relied on that initial interaction in order to become business in the future, I would be hopeless because those people would eventually see other people who do what I do. But because of content, because of emails, because of text, you can constantly stay top of mind. So then again, whenever they need your service, you're the first person that they think of. And so today I wanted to talk about tactically how do you build that speed to lead automation workflow in your business? And so the software that I use is GoHighLevel. I've been using it since 2023. And I think it's a great software for any small business owner to use. I think it's a great software really for any business to use because you can have all of your marketing assets in one place. So if I build out a funnel for a client, and then once the client gets an opt-in, the automation workflow starts, you can build all of that in GoHighLevel. And so I highly recommend it for everybody. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to go to the form builder and you're going to build out a form that basically allows people to fill out their first name, last name, phone number, email, and then a opt-in saying that they're okay with being contacted. And you can do all of this in GoHighLevel. But the great thing about this is a lot of people are always worried about they're going to have to redesign their website, and there's costs that come with that. But I'm here to tell you that with GoHighLevel, it literally has a section in the software that you can click embed and then embed it into your current website. I've done this a lot with a lot of my clients because we don't necessarily focus on web design, and sometimes redesigning a website can be a very lengthy process. So we're better off just building it there because they're already getting traffic, but the form can live on the website that they already have. And so once you take that form and embed it into the website, then you can go to the automation section of GoHighLevel, and you can basically, utilizing AI in the software, which is incredible, say that you want to create a follow-up sequence that does the following. First, once they opt in, you want them to be listed as an opportunity in the software. That's the great thing about GoHighLevel as well, is if you have somebody opt in, you can put them as an opportunity. That way you can go back and see the opportunities that you need to follow up on versus having to go through your email like people do in the past. And so once you do that, you can say you want them to be an opportunity, and then you can say you want them to send an email and a text message giving them an opportunity to schedule a call with you or schedule a service or appointment time with you. The great thing about this is you don't have to worry about writing out the text. You can use Claude, you can use ChatGPT to write out the text for you, and you can use Claude or ChatGPT to write out the email for you. What this will allow you to do though is this will allow you to get the automation going fast. And the great thing is ChatGPT, Claude, and all these LLMs have great data analysis that they can write you an email that makes sense. And so some people would say, well, why would you do it? Why wouldn't you just write it yourself? Well, the fact of the matter is, if somebody's giving you their information, they're interested in what you do in some way, shape, or form. And so you don't necessarily have to focus on writing this amazing converting newsletter or like VSL like you'd have to worry about in the past. You've already gotten them. The key is to worry about the constant communication and the first message that you're going to send them. So literally, if you go to any LLM that you use to write this, you can basically say, this is an email that they're going to get once they opt into my website. I would like it to be tailored so that it encourages them to schedule their appointment time on their own. And I want them to understand that we appreciate their business. And then boom, it'll write it for you. You just copy and paste it, and then you put it into the workflow. And so once you do that, it will actually take that data of the opt-in, and then it'll add it to the GoHighLevel software in the contest section. So now when you want to build an email newsletter, which you can also do out of GoHighLevel, you can have them on your email newsletter. That way, if they don't necessarily schedule an appointment time to work with you, you are in constant communication with them. I think that constant communication is going to allow you to build those relationships without you even knowing. And then once you send them that email, on that thank you email after they opt in, or on the thank you text once they opt in, you can give them a Calendly link, or you can give them a booking link, which again, you can build in GoHighLevel, and they can schedule the time that they want you to come out. Now, one thing I've noticed when it comes to adding scheduling to any business that you have, when you allow the customer or consumer to schedule their own appointment, I would highly encourage you to only make 1 to 2 days at most available. I did this with a roofing company about a year ago, and I noticed that the less time that we made available, the more likely people were to book, because there was a sense of urgency that if they don't book it now, they'll miss the opportunity, versus leaving the calendar open for the next 8 weeks. Somebody books 3 weeks down the line, they forget, it's whatever, and then you lose that business. So you can use the booking platform in GoHighLevel. You can use Calendly. I've used both. but you want to set it up to where once they get that thank you email, once they get that thank you text, you can then turn around and allow them to schedule their appointment. So that's the speed to lead framework. And I think that if you can build this once in your business, you'd be surprised how much money you'll be able to make. And you'd be surprised how much time this is going to save you. Because if, let's say, you're somebody who owns a plumbing company or an HVAC company, if you're out doing an install and somebody opts in, well, now you got to wait till the day's over to reach out to them. But this allows them to get a touch point from your business right away. And then they're less likely to go look at other businesses that offer the same service you do. So wanted to break that down, wanted to show you how that speed to lead framework is the game changer of business in 2026. And again, the great thing about this is all you need to do is download or get a high-level membership, and literally you can build out this automation yourself. There's lots of YouTube videos. I'll go more in depth in the next couple of weeks and actually do a step-by-step tutorial. But I'm telling you, this whole framework and automation may take you an hour to do, even if you don't have the greatest technical skills. But the amount of money that you'll make on the back end will exponentially grow and will grow in perpetuity because you're in constant communication with the people that you're wanting to work with. So try this out. If this brought you value, please share this video. And I hope that you're able to make that content that makes an impact to take your business to the next level. Have a great day. God bless.